Mitch Lawrence, SiriusXM, NBA Radio, Sporting News, Forbes. You can find him talking NBA in all different mediums, and he joins us now to do the same here on 97.3 ESPN. Mitch, how are you, pal?
I'm doing great, guys. I'm doing great. You know what? I know Philly must be up in arms about Joel Embiid not making it. Yeah, he had his argument to make it, but you know what? He'll be making a lot of more important teams like all NBA teams in the future if his foot holds up, so I wouldn't lose any sleep over it.
Yeah, you know, it's unfortunate because he seems like the kind of guy you would want, the NBA would want in the All-Star game. You know, you got a guy like Millsap, and I'm not, crushing him. I'm just, picking him out because he's a little boring, right? You know, Millsap's
he's a lot boring.
Yeah, all right.
I mean, he's a lot boring. I mean, and Embiid's got the big personality. What the NBA would argue was he'll be here for the All-Star weekend. He's going to play in that big Friday night game that nobody watches. But, hey, look, that's the deal. But it's, you know what? The Philadelphia, the league view is, wow, the Sixers have returned. We were a 29-league team a few months ago, and Joel Embiid has made us a 30-league team once again.
Yeah, and over the years, everybody has talked and had their opinions on this and whether or not it was good for the game and whether it was working. But now that it's kind of getting to this point, how's the rest of the league viewing it? I mean, do you think other teams are going to say, oh, you know what, look what the Sixers have done, look what they're doing? Or do you think other teams will start to follow suit?
You mean in terms of losing constantly for like 3 or 4 years? No, nobody's going to do that. Nobody's crazy enough to. You got to sell sponsorships, and you got to be relevant. You might tank a year or two at the tops, but nobody's going to tank as much as the Sixers did. And by the way, you know what? Simmons has to get on the floor and show that he can hold up too. And the Okafor pick is still a bad pick, and the Noel's. I mean, you know what? Philly's got to start winning big to say, wow, this thing really worked out, right? I mean, we're not going to do this off a half a year when they still don't have a winning record.
Yeah, and, they took the extreme of it. There's no doubt about it. But don't you think it's interesting, Mitch, where we're in this point where you're looking at standings and seasons and you're almost asking yourself, Sixers fans are doing it now. Does it benefit us to be the 8 seed, or do we just keep on taking the course? There's a lot of teams that are kind of stuck in that point where what is the point of them being the 8, 7, 6 seed, I mean, in a year that looks like it's a 2 to 3 team race?
Here's the deal. If you make 8th with Joel Embiid, how old is he, 21, who's played basically a handful of games, with Ben Simmons, you know what? Yeah, make 8th, because you know why? You might be 2nd or 3rd in a couple of years. You know, if Embiid and Simmons work out where they're going to be foundation franchise players, you're not going to be on the treadmill of mediocrity with 44 or 42 wins. You'll be a 50-plus win team, and, if you fill in around them correctly, you can be a championship contender. It's the teams like New York and Chicago right now where fans are looking at it going, yeah, you want it, you know what, even if you guys get your acts together, you're going to be maybe a 7th or 8th place team, and then what? So, yeah, I mean, you know what, when you have a team, and I'll tell you what, a lot of people talk about the Lakers' future and how great the Lakers' future is. Lakers don't have anybody with the ceiling of Joel Embiid. Whether it's D'Angelo Russell or Brandon Ingram or the power forward Julius Randle, they might be kind of stuck on that treadmill. But Philly could make that quantum leap because these guys could be big-time game changers. We know that Embiid's showing that he might be that player. I don't know about Simmons yet. So, yeah, you could vault from being – you want to go from very bad to very good. You don't want to be in between.
So Mitch Lawrence is with us, SiriusXM NBA Radio, Forbes, Sporting News, Trade Buzz. Sixers active? I mean, do you think that teams are going to start calling them? And how do they approach this deadline now that they've had a taste of success?
Well, everybody thinks they should move Noel or Okafor or a combination. But I don't know if Brian Colangelo is going to do anything. I think we all know that they need more perimeter help in a big way. Ilyasova's been nice, but going forward, how many pieces there are going to last, other than Embiid and Simmons? You don't know. I mean, league-wide, there's not a lot of buzz about trades anyway because teams are basically saying, well, even if we bring in one piece, does that put us over the top if you're in the East against Cleveland? Does it put it over the top in the West against San Antonio or Golden State? You might not be a big splash. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I still think trade deadlines, you're going to get some minor moves. I don't know about a big blockbuster move, though.
Mitch, do you think the Sixers flip Ilyasova, and would you move him if you were Brian Colangelo?
Well, I don't know what you could get for him. I would keep him. He's done a nice job there for him. So why not keep him and try to, continue to pursue 8th place? If you can make 8th place with this team, why not go for it? But I don't know. I really haven't studied it that much in terms of I'm trying to figure out what the Knicks are going to do with Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, that was next on the list because you mentioned, the Sixers are not, you just said if you can make eighth place, I think you're at the point where a team like Philly, where they are, eighth place is beneficial to them.
That's huge.
There's some teams that eighth place is a detriment.
For 3 or 4 years.
Correct.
You've been an absolute embarrassment. It's important for that franchise to make the playoffs if they can. Absolutely, go for it. Why not?
Absolutely. And when you look at this East right now, you got Cleveland, who's got rocky road. Yeah. But what else? I mean, who else like in the East?
Well, they've lost 6 of 8. Is anybody making a move on Cleveland and threatening their number one spot in the East? Toronto can't get out of its own way. Boston's been terrible. I mean, the East is lousy, guys. Let's face it. Everybody thought the East was improved. Indiana, they can't, it's Cleveland. And even with Cleveland leaving the door open for somebody to come up and knock them off, nobody's taking advantage out of it. This is one of the worst stretches LeBron's had, losing 6 of 8 games. So the East is as bad as I thought it would be.
No question. And, you look at the Pacers, they added, they went and got a lot of veterans this year. What happened to them? You had, Boston, looks like a team that maybe can make a move. Boston's the one team, though, because they have a future. They have that pick next year. But other than that, all these East teams have the same problem. None of them have that player.
Well, none of them have. Look, that's why everybody wanted Kevin Durant. That's why Boston wanted Kevin Durant. That's why Miami got an audience with Kevin Durant, because those teams know that it starts. Boston, Isaiah Thomas has had a very nice run here, but guys, on a championship contender, he'd be a third player probably. Al Horford, we know his limitations. He'll never give you a big defensive rebound in a big spot in the playoffs. So Boston's got a nice team, and they've got assets, but we've been hearing about these assets for a long time, just like we've been hearing about, they constantly rattle their sabers about they're going to make a big deal. Haven't done that yet. So Boston is basically a third or fourth place team in a good year. That's it. That's their ceiling.
Yeah, and you talked about the Knicks, Melo. What's going to happen there?
Yeah.
Do you see him gone at the deadline, or are you on the side that he's there? Nobody wants him, or he won't leave?
No. Phil Jackson is doing his best to try to get him out of here. And you saw that with this recent trade proposal where they wouldn't take anybody major back from the Clippers. They're just looking to move on from Carmelo. But Carmelo, look, he loves being the big guy in New York. He's always loved that. 6 years ago, around this time, was actually around the All-Star game where the Knicks made the move for him. And by the way, that move was made by the owner, James Dolan. And Carmelo not only has the no-trade clause on his side, guys, he has James Dolan on his side. So Phil Jackson, he could go out and try to find Carmelo all kinds of trade scenarios to waive that trade clause. It's not going to happen. And there'd be only, in my mind, forget about Boston. He wouldn't go there, I don't think. I don't think Boston's going to do anything to blow up their team short term for Carmelo Anthony. I don't think Danny Ainge thinks that highly of him. And LeBron, they're boys. But you know what? LeBron needs, like he said, a playmaker. And they really need a big to close down that lane. The one city, though, I think he could end up in would be a Clipper situation because he has a house out there, and that's a big enough place with the bright, Carmelo's a bright lights guy. He's a big city guy. He ain't going to Oklahoma City. I got all these Knicks fans telling me they've worked out all these deals because Oklahoma City needs a second. Carmelo Anthony is not going to be in Oklahoma City unless the Knicks play there, and he's going to leave after the game and go to the next town. Okay, that's the way it's going to work. But I'd be stunned if Carmelo Anthony would waive the no-trade clause. I think he wants to outlast Phil Jackson in New York.
Mitch Lawrence with a SiriusXM NBA radio, the NBA trade deadline. A little off, but this is where the seasons materialize at the All-Star break. You got Cleveland. How about West? Anybody challenging Golden State?
Well, it's only the Spurs. I mean, I like what Houston's doing. They're in town tonight down your way. Mike D'Antoni's done a phenomenal job. James Harden's my MVP. He's made guys better there. That's the difference between him and Westbrook. I mean, they were on a pace a couple of, only 5-6 days ago to win 62, 63 games. I think now they're on a pace to win 60, but they've had a great year. Will they be a factor in the playoffs? Nobody knows if they'll play the kind of defense required, but we all think the Spurs probably have the best shot with Golden State. I mean, Golden State, last time I checked, they were on a pace to win 70 games. That'd be another historic season. Nobody's put together back-to-back 70-win years. It looks like they still are the class. And it looks like Cleveland guys, because of this recent cold spell they've had, this recent downtime, I don't know if they can win the title. They'll get there in June, but I don't know. The way they're playing and the way things are shaping up, they really got to get their act together. On the defensive end, defensively, they're ranked in all the big stats in the middle of the pack, 15, 16, when it comes to field goal percentage of the opponents and all that stuff. That's where they suffer. They'll score with people because they got LeBron and Love and Kyrie. That's the best three in the East. But you know what? Defensively, they have a hard time stopping people.
Mitch, you said you don't think it's going to be active at the deadline. Will there be a big name move though?
No, I don't think. I think it'll be active, maybe minor moves, but I don't know about a big move. I mean, look, what you hear is Portland's going to make a move maybe with Tyson Chandler. He could go to Portland to give them some defensive help on the front line. You hear that Orlando's going to have a shakeup. They got they did a bad job in the offseason bringing in too many four guys. You got Ibaka down there and Biyombo and guys like that, and Vucevic wants to get out of there. So that could be a situation. I just don't see. You're not going to see a Blake Griffin dealt. You're not going to see a Carmelo Anthony dealt. I mean, those would be the big names, right? I mean, who else would there be? Down your way, could they move Nerlens Noel, Joel Okafor? Yeah, it's possible. You just don't hear. I mean, Brook Lopez in Brooklyn, but what are those teams? What are those guys going to do for a contender? Are they going to put anybody over the top? I don't see that.
We're all waiting to see if it's Okafor or Noel, and I guess more people are leaning towards Okafor being the guy. How much value does he have? Who knows, right?
Minimal, but he is probably the designated guy because you don't need him with Embiid. I mean, they don't play well together, and you got to remember, Okafor is a limited low post guy who's 6'9", 6'9.5". That's like a dinosaur in the NBA these days, right? And he's not a defensive presence, not very athletic, so I don't know how much value he's got.
I talked about this a couple weeks ago, Mitch. A guy like Malone, that player, where would that guy fit in today's NBA? Karl Malone, where does he fit in today's game?
Good point. He had some range. He'd have to work on his three-point shot. If he were in your studio, he'd knock you guys out. He'd tell you he could still be a star. I know Carl a long time. He actually wanted to play in Dallas when I was working down there a long time ago. But, you're right. I mean, all these guys today, nothing goes into the post and then dump back out. Everything is, all these guys are standing on the perimeter, jacking up threes. And as we know, the fast breaks don't go to the basket. You have guys pulling up for threes. So it's a different world. It's a different time. For guys like, Karl Malone or Jahlil Okafor. That's just the way the game has evolved. Not necessarily for the better, but that's the way they're doing it now.
He'd knock us out, but Stockton would have to set him up because those two names always go together. So.
I'll tell you what, that Stockton could still play in this NBA. He was tough enough, and he was wild enough and smart enough, and I'm telling you what, guys, there wasn't a better assist guy than John Stockton, as the record show.
I think Malone and Rodman tag team in the WCW one time. He probably would
kick
our, I think so. I
wouldn't be surprised.
Versus Hulk Hogan and somebody else. All right.
That's
Mitch,
right. That was the night that wasn't the night that Rodman won the wedding dress, or was that some other night?
It could have been. In that genre, it wouldn't be surprising. Right. Mitch Lawrence, SiriusXM, Sporting News, and Forbes covers the NBA a long time. We're getting to the good part of the NBA season. We appreciate the conversation, pal.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.